A publication known as Stop the War has had a third article taken down from its site because the article promoted war with Israel. Now, it's interesting that the name of this publication is Stop the War, and then they're promoting war with Israel. But we have a screenshot of the article in question, and then we're going to talk about the details of it. Now, they apparently believe that American mosques and Islamic centers well, they don't believe this is true. American mosques and Islamic centers have seen at least 63 acts of vandalism, harassment, and anti-Muslim bigotry this year. The attacks include a pig's head thrown at a mosque, a pregnant Muslim woman being shoved in the stomach at a restaurant, and an Uber driver who was shot by a passenger, okay? So this anti-war group, Stop the War Coalition, is in hot water because they deleted this controversial article calling for war with Israel. This is the third article where they've done this. Not promoting war with Israel, but just questionable articles that have gotten a lot of criticism. So the headline says, "Time to go to war with Israel as the only path to peace in the Middle East." The other articles were "Legitimacy War, combining the mobilization of a movement from below with global solidarity is the best prospect for realizing Palestinian self-determination." I mean, there's just all this weird talk about how we need to go to war with other countries in order to lead to peace. It's almost Orwellian in nature, right?
Yeah.
More peace, more war leads to peace. Like that whole notion, which I don't agree with. U.S. foreign policy seems to think that that's the way to go, but it hasn't worked. And so they've taken this down, but apparently they don't realize how the internet works. Once you post something like this, whether it be a questionable political commentary piece or a naked picture, it will float around forever. And so you have to really be thoughtful in what you're calling for. If you're calling for war and you are a publication that doesn't want war, well, maybe you need to scale back a little bit and figure out what your priorities are. I haven't read the entire article. I don't think that going to war with Israel is the way to solve peace in the Middle East. I think there are other ways of doing it. Maybe you stop doing drone strikes that kill innocent civilians and then lead to them getting, radicalized. But I don't know. That's just my take. What do you think, Colin? Make your point.
I don't know that war is ever really the answer. I think in certain circumstances, like defensive war perhaps, I mean, it makes sense to maintain the ability to do that just in case. But the idea of going to war with somebody to achieve peace is ridiculous. There's a lot of different mechanisms that can actually achieve peace. The big one here, I think, particularly in that region, is the othering of each other. Like there's so much, I have friends from both sides who just say, yeah, and peace, but that side, they're the ones that did it. And both of them say the exact same things about each other. And this is a microcosm of what's happening elsewhere around the world. And if we were able to spread culture, share culture a little bit better, recognizing our shared humanity first rather than looking at all the differences, even like exchange programs where kids for a year of their life have to go live in another country or something, there's a lot of interesting solutions to this problem that would stop it before it even got to that boiling point.
Yeah, that's such a great point. The thing about what's happening in the Middle East that really frustrates me is the answer continuously from our politicians seems to be, we need to bomb them. We need to kill them. And the thing is, so many innocent people are dying in the Middle East because of our questionable foreign policy.
Right.
And it's leading to people getting radicalized because they feel like they're being victimized by the West. They feel like they're being disenfranchised by the West. And that encourages them to join ISIS, to join these insurgencies that are causing a lot of damage. The best way to take the power away from ISIS is to work with moderate Muslims to fight back against them with the West. And unfortunately, that's not what we're doing. By the way, a recent poll indicates that Americans are 4 times more likely than people from any other country to state that sometimes killing civilians is necessary.
God, that's horrible.
And I know, it's terrible, and it was disheartening. Now, what do you think it'll take for us to end this violence against Muslims here in the United States and, abroad?
Well, you actually said part of it, I think, that we need better representation of moderate Muslims. Like, I hear all these attacks and people say Muslims this, Muslims that. That's not my experience with people who are Muslim. Like they are just as likely and just as unlikely to prescribe to violent ideologies as anybody else. It's just whether or not you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
And what we should be, turning our heads against and trying to unite against is psychopathy in terms of people with power, people with weapons, that type of thing. The religion any religion, any philosophy, like non-belief system philosophy, can be used as an excuse for violence.
Yes.
So that's not the thing that we should be fixating on. I think in this case, the religion correlates with a certain color of skin, a certain part of the world, and it's a very convenient other for us to use as a distraction for a lot of other things.
Yeah, if you just consider the fact that they're humans just like us, and if you know, instill some empathy in American culture, I think things will be different. But we lack empathy. We look at them as others. We don't look at them as humans. And so when you have a huge chunk of Americans saying that it's okay to kill civilians in the Middle East because, hey, that's what we need to do to fight terror, you are terribly mistaken.
Right.
Because again, just put yourself in their shoes. You're at a wedding. And some unidentified country, let's just say Japan for the sake of this conversation, Japan decides that they're going to do a drone strike at that wedding in an effort to find terrorists, and they kill all of your innocent family members who haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
You as a surviving family member, what do?
You're pissed off.
You're pissed off.
You want to get revenge.
You want revenge. Our foreign policy doesn't work, and our politicians know that. I know this sounds conspiratorial, but there is an incentive to be in perpetual war. Yep. We have weapons manufacturers that are making a lot of money off of this. We have private contractors that are making a lot of money off of this. So when you see those politicians standing there during the debates talking about how they want to fight ISIS, they're being disingenuous, because if they really wanted to fight ISIS, they would change the course of what we're doing foreign policy-wise. They have no interest in that.
They want to expend weapons.
That's exactly right.
What they're saying.
It's so frustrating.